Hey, how you doing, family? Quick concept I want to throw out there. When I was in my younger 20s, I liked fish tanks. Actually loved them. Still do love them. Love watching the fish tanks, and it's a relaxing thing for me. Kind of provides a certain form of tranquility. Well, in observing it, me and my friend Chris back in the day, we went and got some Oscars. I really like Oscars and Red Devils, and we would feed them the goldfish. Well, me and Chris went and got two fish from the same fish store at the same time, and for the most part, was feeding them the same thing, same diet for the fish. Well, after about 6 or 7 months went by, I went to check out his fish, and I looked at mine. Well, mine was a lot smaller, and his was a lot bigger. And I was just trying to figure it out. Like, man, how did your fish get so big? And I'm looking at my fish like, man, my fish, I don't know if something wrong with it, but what's the difference? Well, here was the actual difference. The difference was I had a 30-pound tank, and he had like a 75 gallon tank. So, in me having this 30-gallon tank and him having this 75-gallon tank, the fish adapted more to its own environment, which he gave that fish a lot more opportunity to grow. And that's the same thing for us. Once we leave these smaller, like me growing up in Detroit, we leave these smaller atmospheres, and there's not a lot to be exposed to. There's not a lot of people doing different things, not a lot of people investing, wasn't a lot of people doing certain things. So my intelligence and everything I knew, my culture, me understanding different, even different groups, uh, different Hispanic groups. I wasn't exposed to that. Different Asian groups. I wasn't exposed to none of this stuff until I came in the military, and wasn't trying to be like funny or anything else. I kind of understood Hispanics to be like, oh, you're Mexican, and then people would be offended and be like, oh, I'm not a Mexican. I'm Puerto Rican, or I'm Dominican, or I'm Peruvian, or I'm Colombian. And because I was from Detroit, I had never had that direct experience to know the differences and all of that. Same thing when I got over, in dealing with the Asian groups. They probably felt the same way about us. You wouldn't know the difference between a Haitian, a Jamaican, or different African Americans. They only see black. They only see skin color. So the military kind of offered us this interesting environment where we can dig down into the deep elements of that particular group. Well, after getting exposed to this, I go back home. Now I know more things than these guys that I grew up with. I've been exposed to more. I've seen more. I've been on white sand beaches in the Virgin Islands. I've been in Dubai. I've been in Italy, France, Greece, Suda Creek, Turkey. Talking to these different people about these different cultures and not just like reading it or seeing it on TV. I remember my expectation when I went over to Dubai was there was going to be like sand everywhere. And that wasn't the case at all. In fact, there was actually Benzes. The taxi cabs were like Benzes. Blew my expectation out of the water because Hollywood had painted a certain picture for us only to see things a certain way. And that wasn't how it was, period. So that direct exposure broadened my sense of things. So now when I get in these conversations, I can tell people like that's propaganda. That's not true. Africa doesn't look like that, or Dubai doesn't look like that, or there's more to it than what they're selling you just on this Hollywood effect. So I always say, hey, the more you get out there, the more you expose yourself, the more you learn. It broadens your sense of the world, and you don't just be caught up in this smaller bubble. But in doing so, it's actually difficult for you to go back to those smaller elements. Why? Because you've been conditioned, you've been groomed, and you know more. It's almost like taking a student through grade after grade after grade, taking them all the way up to college, and then bringing them back and putting them in the class with the fifth graders. Well, at that point, he's already surpassed that level of knowledge. So now you can't reintroduce him into that because he's no longer challenged. It's like, this ain't it. And that's what happens when you pull people out of some of these bad neighborhoods and some of these country towns where it's not much there and people feel like, it's just the same mundane routine every day. It's not much to it. So they're looking for something. And that's what actually brings a lot of people into the military, is because I want to see the world. I want to go to college. I want to do something different. I feel like there's more to life. So if you catch yourself wrapped up in that feeling, the biggest thing is start getting new exposure. Start going to new places. Go off that beaten path and start getting yourself exposed to new elements in life. All right, that's my gift for today. Have a good one, fam.